Tonight, team. Tonight, we've got a big topic. Something we don't talk about a whole lot, but something that we use, I say every single day, maybe every single minute. It's words. Words, yeah. Can everyone say word? Word. That's it. All right, real quick. Bo, Isabel, introduce yourselves. What small group do you lead? And your favourite word. What small group do you lead? Small group lead. And your favourite word, or a word you like. What do you reckon? It's a tough one, hey. It's a tough one.
You want to start?
Go for it. Oh, I start. All right. My name is James. I lead the wonderful Year 6 boys. And my favourite word, I like flabbergasted. I think that's a sick word, yeah. I don't get to use it too often. Oh, they were just flabbergasted. What do you reckon? Bo, do you want it next?
Well, yeah, I'm Bo. I think most of you would know me. I sort of just sit in the back. I lead I don't know if I can say wonderful yet, but the grade 8 boys back in the corner. Nah, they're pretty good. Love you too. Honestly, actually, fun fact, my favorite, actually not really my favorite word, but I learned this word yesterday. I don't know if I can say it properly yet. My mum told me about it. It's called monogamous. Magnanimous. I don't know what it means. I think it's like nice or something like that. What does it mean? Magnanimous. That's the word of the day, guys. So.
Word of the day. Come on, I like that.
These are great words. Great words. I'm Isabel. Oh, so chatty. Hi, guys. I lead one of the grade 7 small groups with Chelsea. And I think today my favorite word is one that I've been arguing with some of my girls about whether it exists or not, which is the word petrichor. It does exist.
Petrichor.
Petrichor.
Hands up if you think the word petrichor exists.
Have you Googled it? Are you? Yeah. I'm glad you feel passionately about this. I hope you continue to feel passionately about what we're going to talk about today.
100%.
To be continued.
100%. Words are very divisive.
Yeah.
Words are very divisive. And yeah, something we don't talk about a whole lot, hey. So we'll bring up different things of maybe gossip, maybe bullying, encouragement, swearing, a few different topics. Maybe we'll even put it to you guys. If you guys have any questions about different things we talk about tonight, feel free to chuck your hand up. We'll try to answer it as best we can. So, yeah, Bible talks about the tongue. It's talking about words being like a double-edged sword. It can be used for good, used for not so good. Hey, so I want to ask you guys, how have you found, when it comes to encouraging, I'm starting on the lighter side, encouraging, how do you encourage others? What is something that you do to encourage others? How does it make you feel?
I'll start. I think for me, I'm a big words of affirmation person. So I love encouraging others. I love hearing encouragement. It's something that really sticks with me whenever someone says something nice, which I think just does speak to the power of words. It goes both ways, right? You hear something nice and it stays with you, and you hear something mean and that also stays with you. But when it comes to encouraging people, I think my go-to way to do it is just through a compliment. I think it's really easy. Especially for girls, maybe you just say like, hey, wow, your hair looks so good today. I love your outfit. And that is so encouraging. Like, it's such a mood booster. It can bring such like a little sprinkle of happiness into someone's day. And yeah, like it is such an easy way to use our words to build other people up.
100%.
Yeah, I want to go off that. Yeah, I really agree with that. Like, I think there is a big problem, like with boys especially, where I feel like we don't really share or compliment each other enough. Like we aren't that nice. It's always a bit more banter and sarcastic sort of things. But you see, like when we do get like words of encouragement or something like that, it really does stick with you, and it shows how much of a difference it actually makes. So I think that's something that we definitely have to challenge as we go forward. So yeah.
100%. Hey. You guys probably heard, particularly the boys, boys don't get many compliments. You probably heard that one before? So yeah, 100%. But when you do get a compliment, you like remember it forever. You're like, oh my, that person at the register, they said they like my shoes. And that was like 3 years ago. I still remember, like literally someone at the register.
Wear those shoes every day.
That's it. That's literally it. So it's something we don't do often, hey?
Yeah.
I know particularly in my life, I've struggled to I've always found it awkward to encourage people growing up. I always thought, you come across, too kind, or it doesn't quite sound right if you're encouraging. And it's always been a tricky one for me growing up. Hey, I was with my mates, we were on a boys' trip one time. We were all hanging out. It was all good fun and that. But a lot of our language wasn't helpful towards each other. As much as it might be funny, or it would be, it's because it's just the boys. You hear that, it's just the boys. But no, it wasn't, it wasn't healthy for us. And then one of my mates was like, this is actually not good for us, hey? We're actually really struggling to encourage each other. Let's do this. For any time we tear each other down or say a word that isn't quite nice, let's do 10 push-ups. And then one of the mates was like, that's stupid. And we looked at each other like, well, that's 10 push-ups then. And we're like, oh my, this is actually going to be so much harder. Move on. How have you battled any sort of tearing down or swearing or gossiping? How have you sort of journeyed with that growing up?
Yeah, great question. I think the first thing that pops into my brain with that question, I'll start with that and we'll see how things go. But I think when it comes to tearing people down with my words, it's often our own insecurity that shows up. When I feel reluctant to encourage someone or when I feel reluctant to give a compliment, I know it's usually because I'm feeling down or because I've got something going on. And so that's really difficult. That doesn't go away quickly. But the more we're aware of it and the more we sort of call ourselves out on it, and then just like flip whatever we're thinking that's maybe mean or like not super nice about somebody, if we just flip that and give them the compliment instead, it can totally change not only their day, but also just our perspective.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, the difficult thing is, as we were saying earlier, if something's bad said to you, it can really stick with you. And the thing is, it sort of gets stuck in your head, and then you sort of just keep saying that about yourself. So, you've really got to challenge that. You've got to surround yourself with people, like what we're saying. Like, I feel like, again, sorry to bring it back to the boys again, but I feel like there's so much sarcasm and stuff that goes around that, you sort of go numb to it, but then that's all that happens. And if someone does say something nice, you think it's sarcastic. So I think, it comes back to surrounding yourself with people who are uplifting, that bring you to become a better person. And just challenge that every day, hey? So
100%. It's so like that. It's very Australian, as we might say. We tear each other down, we gossip. We gossip about each other, we say different things, and it's not something that stereotypically girls might struggle with. Guys do it too. We talk about each other behind our backs all the time. It's just unhealthy. How can we sort of prevent that in ourselves? And how can we prevent others from gossiping? What do you reckon? What are your sort of tips, tricks, thoughts on that one? That's a tricky one because we all do it. We all do something, whether we like it or not, hey?
That's a pretty hard one. Yeah. The thing is, like, looking back on it, it's not something like gossip and any of that. It's not something that just sticks with high school. Like, you see all the movies, like, they're gossiping, blah, blah, blah. But that sticks through even when you're an adult, and that's something that we've always got to challenge. I need a refresh on the question, not going to lie. What was it? Something about gossip.
Yeah, how can you prevent yourself from
gossip?
How can you help others who are struggling with gossip?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that goes back to, look, it is, like I keep going back to it's who you surround yourself with, Like the environment you're in breeds more. So if you like go into a place that, encourages gossip and stuff like that, sometimes that's your only way of bonding with someone. Like you don't know what to talk to them about. So then you're like, oh, do you see what blah, blah, blah did? Like, and that's your only way of connecting with them. So again, I really think it is where you plug your roots into, who you stick with. And I think that's, where that it comes back to the whole root of it. Like, is there gossip? Is there, are they uplifting, And I think who you surround yourself with, that changes you. And, if you're getting sewed into with joy and all of that, you can sow it into other people. Whether if you just keep getting, battered down with, words, you're not going to be able to uplift others. So, yeah, that's what I think. But
yeah, great. I think gossip is huge. I think it's maybe the number one thing, like, Christians can be challenged by and not even realize we're struggling with it. Because in the moment, it can be like, but we're just having a good chat. We're just hanging out. This is just the way the conversation is going. When really we're bringing someone else down. We're letting our hearts be like just drawn the wrong way in those sorts of conversations. And I think because it's just so common, I think like maybe if I look at my day, I would say if I'm struggling with gossip, maybe 80% of the conversations I have are gossip. And what's the rest of it, you know? How can we as Christians be working to make our conversations more God-focused and just not gossip? How do we do that? It's really difficult. Asking myself the question as well. I think one of the ways we can do that is if you are struggling with gossip, get accountability partners.
Yeah,
Get people, like bring people into it. Don't struggle with gossip on your own because you just can't do it. You can't fix this problem on your own. So ask for prayer, talk to God about it, talk to your small group leaders about it, talk to maybe 1 or 2 trusted friends about it who, when you surround yourself with those people who can call you out on it or help to steer the conversations in a better direction, I think that can be really helpful when it comes to gossip.
100%. You got a question?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So I just want to ask the panel. I don't know if that's what we're calling ourselves, but I'll just think about it from what you're saying, and like I can always think of one person, whoever, or like one person. That sounds bad. Just like people who are around yourself, and it feels like you get drained, you know, and it feels like every conversation is, oh, do you know what Lala's doing, la la, and it's just like you don't feel uplifted from that. So the question I want to ask: do you think, in terms of words and what we say, do you think you reap what you sow, in terms of, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
No, it's a really good call. Really cool. What you're feeding into yourself, is that coming out of you in that sense here? Is anyone on Spotify here? Yeah, a few of you is on. So you would have got all your Spotify Wrapped recently, hey? Yeah? Yell some artists out. What do we get? Young and Free, come on. Young and Free, so good. What else do we get? Taylor Swift, come on. What's that? Ramston? I don't think I know that one, but I'm curious though. Coldplay? 100%. So I'm actually not on Spotify, just quietly. I'm on Apple Music. So I got my replay, and I get 100 songs.
I wouldn't say that out
But I say that, I ask you that though, because a lot of times we're spending 10,000, 20,000, maybe even 50,000, maybe more minutes of music into us. And what sort of artists are feeding into us in that time? Is it your artists that are talking about different people in a negative light, are gossiping over song, are talking about men or women in a way that is harming or derogatory in that sense? So 100%, you've said it yourself with accountability, and with surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with good resources as well at that point. So yeah, 100%, what you feeds into you generally comes out of you. Is it insecurity into you? Is it insecurity coming out? So 100%. What do you reckon, Izzy? Do you reap what you sow with words?
I think you do a bit. I think you can become known as the kind of person who gossips. The same way you can know someone else as like the gossiper or the person you go to for like, you know, a little, what would you say? A little bit of gossip in between class or whatever, like the person you go to. I think it's really dangerous when we label ourselves as Christians, but we're also known as people who gossip. It becomes confusing for non-Christians when they see us going to youth on a Friday night, and maybe we go to church on Sunday morning, or we talk about reading our Bible, or we listen to a Christian song, and then we turn around and we're with our friends and we're gossiping and we're saying mean things, or we're not standing up for friends who are being bullied, or we just treat people badly. It just paints the church and Jesus in such a negative way. And so in that sense, I think you do reap what you sow, because we need to be careful with the way we portray ourselves as Christians, and the words we use is such a big part of that.
100% as well, yeah. And we talk about accountability and surrounding ourselves with people. The best accountability partner that I've ever found is Jesus. Honestly, the amount of times I've gone to him in prayer and be like, hey God, I'm really struggling with this. I really need help with gossip, or at one point in my life it was just speaking negatively about others, pulling others down. And so can I encourage you, if you are struggling with this, talk to your small group leader, talk to your friends that will keep you accountable, talk to Jesus. He wants to take that burden off you. He wants to give you rest. He wants to give you peace in that. Yeah, I understand.
Look, I think even if you don't think you're struggling, I think it's so subconscious when it comes to that. Like, you actually don't realize until you actually take a good look at what you say throughout the day to other people. Like, you'll actually shock yourself. So I think just go into this week and just try and just count even how many times you've said something sarcastic or anything like that, and you'll honestly, I think it's crazy how insensitive you get to it, because we do surround ourselves with it each day. And like, even if we don't, it feels like it bounces off of us, we're still absorbing a bit of it, you know, it still affects us over time. So I really do think it's important to get on top of it, you know, as soon as possible. So yeah, it's just about being conscious. But again, look, we're not perfect. It's always going to happen. We're always going to have people like that. We're going through new stages of life every single time. Like, you're going to new grade next year. You'll have new students, you know. It's so hard to get that consistency. So the whole thing is, again, what James has said, challenge yourself, you know, get Jesus as your accountability partner. He's the only thing that's always going to be there. So that's going to challenge you, you know, because it's always going to be something in our world. So I think it's important to consider that.
That's it.
I think the great thing about having Jesus as an accountability partner is that we also get the Holy Spirit as part of that deal. And if you ask for accountability, like from God, you will be challenged, and you will notice, like, maybe you'll be more aware of how you're gossiping, or maybe you'll be more aware of how the first thing you want to say about someone is a mean thing, which is difficult. And it, like, at least for me, it makes me reluctant to go and talk to God about things, because I'm like, well, if I talk to him, then I'm actually going to have to deal with it. But in the end, you grow so much from being held accountable, and like by just partnering with the Holy Spirit and trying to, be more conscious about the words you use.
100%, yeah. And it's tricky. It's not that easy. Particularly in the environments that we're in. Like, quick show of hands. Hands up if you heard anyone gossip or swear today. Give or take just about everyone. And it's difficult, even at school, even in Christian schools, it's difficult to put ourselves in environments where we're not going to be hearing all the good things about Jesus. Now, there are times where we're going to be hearing stuff that is negative, and it's tough because we can't be sharing that we shouldn't be sharing that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, like as you were saying, can I encourage you? Yeah, bring it to God. Let him be your accountability partner, and let him reveal the different things in your life that you might be struggling with, might not know you're struggling with. So there you go.
Look, and I just want to, say, we're saying this just as much to ourselves as we're saying it to you. Like, we could be pretty close to perfect. Nah, I'm just kidding. Nah, like, we're really saying it to ourselves as well. Like, you know, we're the ones who are challenging ourselves with it too. So we're not here telling you what to do. It's just, that's what we've experienced. And, you know, we've been on the world maybe like not that much longer than you guys, like probably like 3 years. So 3 years of experience, you know. But yeah, so just thought I'd say that.
No, so good. So thought I'd throw it to you guys real quick. Did you just have any questions about anything? Chuck your hands up. Go from there. Yeah, awesome.
I got a comment. When you said your words be accountable, they don't have to be if you're able to retract your statements.
Yeah, I think the thing is with that, when we're speaking, we like can't put the words back in our mouth, and an apology can only cover so much. I think it goes back to what we were saying at the very beginning, how one mean thing really stays with you for a long time, and like you can't retract in real life. Maybe we can like undo text messages we send, which is a whole nother situation, and like the tone and the mean things we say online is, it's a whole nother conversation we can start. But yeah, we can't take things back that much in real life.
Yeah, post that something similar. That's great comment though. So it's a really good point. It's things that, as much as we can apologise for that sort of, and that's all well and good to forgive and apologise, but at the end of the day, it does reveal our heart posture in different sort of seasons. So does that sort of...
Maybe not controversial and more, but if you can just gaslight it,
If you can gaslight someone...
Gaslighting is always a great option, and I would encourage everyone to look into gaslighting. I am kidding. Gaslighting is not the right option. I think Jesus doesn't gaslight people, and so we shouldn't.
I like that. Oh, great
Amazing question, Millie. This is actually, I'm so glad you brought this up. This is actually one of my favorite questions, and I think it's something I struggle with, honestly, maybe on a daily basis. My rule of thumb that I've come to go by is that if I'm telling multiple people about the same situation over and over, then it's gossiping. If I'm going to one person and I'm starting the conversation by saying, hey, This really, I'm struggling with this one friend of mine. Could I just tell you a bit about the situation to get it off my chest? And then I talk about it and we chat and it's fine. And then I go about my day and I don't talk to anyone else about it and I don't gossip anymore about it. I think that is the difference between venting and gossiping.
100%. Yeah, I'd say everything you said and more. Hey, it's just if it's gossip, then it's your intention to harm another person.
Exactly.
If it's venting, it's your intention to get stuff off your chest, but to help yourself out in that sense. And that's a fine line to go by. But even if you just need help deciphering that, just talk to a mentor and be like, hey, am I venting or am I gossiping here? Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, they'll just tell you, yeah, you're doing this, or yeah, maybe you can bring it back a bit. So yeah, great question.
And if your intention is to be like getting it off your chest, then you shouldn't need to be telling 8 of your best friends and then also texting it to like half the school and letting all of these people know. That's definitely a big indicator that it's gossip if you're unable to tell what your intentions are, because I know that can be tricky sometimes as well.
100%. Is that Asha? I see you. What do you got?
How do you like change like the culture of like your friend group, like from not being like the insults when like no one really wants to or cares?
Great question. So what we got, so just repeating the question so we're all on the same page. How do you change the culture, I'm guessing your verbal culture, the way you speak to others within your friend group when they don't want to get involved in that? At the end of the day, you can't change your friends. You can't change friends. Jesus can, but you can't change your friends. But you can be a positive influence in their lives that helps them guide them closer to Jesus. So I think it's not so much of, I don't care about my friends, but in a sense, thinking, how can I be a positive presence upon them? How can I be speaking life and encouragement into them? And perhaps how can I be calling out their swearing or their gossip in that light? So what do you guys think? That's just my sort of view. What do you reckon?
Look, I think if you're friends with someone, if you're good friends, a part of being friends is, sticking up for each other and being accountable for each other and pulling each other on the right path or right track. And I think, it's not being like, hey, you're saying this, this, and this, and this. That's sort of, it goes the Bible verse of take the log out of your own eye before taking the speck of dust out of someone else's. But I like the way that James went about it, just go about it lighthearted. Like, hey, push-ups for every time you do that. Just something that brings attention to it first, because you can't change it without them realizing itself. If you're saying it to them, that's you telling them. But the thing is, if you want someone to change, they need to realize it themselves. So, the best way about going that is just, going through God with it, praying for them. But again, they need to be the one who picks it up, not you telling them. Otherwise, it will just, bounce off. So I think, it's a great question, though.
I agree. I think the best thing we can do is to just not conform to what they're doing. Be very firmly different. And then, just hope and pray that they notice that you're different and begin to question why that might be.
It's like, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Courtney said a really good quote. I think it was Courtney, or it might have been, I don't know. But they said the only way to show that a stick is crooked is by comparing it, holding it next to a straight stick, because that actually shows it. You don't tell the stick, hey, you're crooked. They're like, I was 6 stone tall, so
That's it. That's 100%. Selena?
When you're venting to someone, like if you're venting with me comfort from them, if they like can't really comfort you and like just leave you with an unanswered question and you tell it to someone else, is that comforting? You just want to know what's happened?
Great
No,
question.
I would say that's I think it's a great situation to bring up, and I think it is one that does happen often. For me, my go-to venting people are my parents, because they usually don't interact with the people who I'm going to be venting about. Yeah. So it's quite like they're detached from the situation. If maybe I'm talking about my boss, they're not going to be seeing my boss around. And also because I know that I can trust them to be comforting to me or to provide whatever advice I need. And so in a situation like that, I would look at the people who I'm going to vent, or who your go-to people are, and consider which ones are able to maybe give you what you need in the situation. But it is tricky. I don't think that's gossiping if you're just having some wisdom and discretion in who you speak to at all. Just because it's more than one person doesn't automatically make it gossip.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I don't think I'd say anything more. Yeah, all said.
Yeah, I think a good rule of thumb, the difference between venting and gossiping, I feel like, in my case anyway, venting is sharing the burden with someone or making someone understand your own feelings, like venting your feelings, I suppose, whereas the rule of thumb with gossiping, it's bringing someone down. So, you know, you could vent about an assignment, how annoying it is. That's expressing your feelings and sharing the burden with someone else. Hey, like, they understand what you're going through, whereas gossiping is blatantly bringing someone else down. So I feel like that's where you can, you know, decipher that. But there are times where they sort of cross over a little bit. But yeah, I think, what Izzy said is definitely how to go about it.
100%. Does that answer your question, Sam? Yeah, fantastic. Did anyone else have any other questions? Oh,
How do you stop people from saying bad words?
so
I was
how
going
do
to bring
you-
that up.
How do you stop people
Great
from saying
question.
bad words? Great question.
How do you
Great question.
You can't stop them,
Yeah, that's
you know?
You can't.
You can't,
yeah, I
like,
don't-
duct
you can't-
tape them
You can't.
and just be
You
like,
make
hey,
them do 10
stop.
push-ups. If you're all on board with it, 100%. Yeah, it's not so much a question of, or how can I make someone stop saying bad words, or it's not so much a question of, or how far is the line to what I can say when I do it, but more so how can I be loving others? How can I be encouraging others to be speaking life into each other? How can I be drawing closer to God through prayer, through reading my word, and just being that positive presence, that love on display that Jesus is in other people's lives. So it's a tricky one. It'd be nice not to hear swearing or gospel all the time, but I'm not perfect. I don't think Bo and Izzy are perfect. I don't think any of our leaders are perfect. I'd certainly like to think so, but I'm definitely not. But yeah, it's constantly about just drawing closer to God through process of sanctification, which is becoming more like Christ. So yeah, did anyone have any more questions? Zara?
You don't feel comfortable leaving boundaries in place
If they're swearing
Yeah.
and you don't want to tell them to stop.
It's a great point, because with that, it goes to show you care about them and you care about their friendship. Hey, what do you guys reckon? I've got some thoughts. What do you guys reckon?
I got some thoughts, but you guys go.
I don't know what you guys are going to say, but I just think there's only so much we can police people. And at the end, like, it's just not our job to make sure people aren't swearing. And if it's really negatively impacting you and being around someone who swears a lot is making you swear a lot, because that definitely happens, I would just consider how you can maybe distance yourself even slightly from that person, or how you can offset their swearing in your time away from them with, like, maybe reading your Bible, just drawing closer to God. In the time when you're, not with that friend, other than that, like, I think you just can't stop people. You can pray and you can ask the Holy Spirit to move in their hearts to, like, stop them from swearing. But
Yeah, 100%. And particularly if they're a friend of yours, they'll want the best for you as well.
Yeah.
So if you're asking them, hey, can you not be saying these sorts of things, whether it's about other people or it's words that are harmful, if they're your friend, generally they will take the time to be like, oh, actually, I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
Or maybe not in the moment, but they'll go away thinking, oh, no, I actually do want to spend time with this. I do want to hang out with this person and sort of reconsider that. So.
Look, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things I've learned over the last few years, as like a Christian who's been in a situation where there's no other Christians around, and I've been exposed to that, the last thing people want to be is being told what to do. That just pushes them away. And then that, it just cuts the door altogether. Then it just separates you. So look, I feel like, again, it sort of goes back to, leading by example. They need to realize it themselves. Maybe saying it might bring attention to it, but look, you saying stuff to them, it's just going to push them away. That's just the unfortunate situation. So I agree with Izzy and James, what they're saying. But I think it's just important, people just don't like being told what to do. I think that's just a good lesson from that.
Yeah, nice, great question. We've got time for one more. Chels.
Alright. So at home, like if you're dealing with these people that are swearing and stuff, parents or anyone, like your guardians or
it's tricky. It's tricky when it's parents, hey?
Yeah.
Really tricky when it's parents. Who else can you bring, healthily, who else can you bring into that conversation? Is there another family member you can bring in Jesus, 100%, bring in Jesus. Is there another family member you can bring in? Is there a particular mentor you can bring into that conversation? Because it can be tricky. It can be really, really tricky at home. But who else can you bring into that conversation if that is the case there? Yeah, so what do you reckon?
I agree with that. Yeah, just going on that. Yeah, I agree with that. The thing is, as a child, you don't have the authority again. And I think, as I was saying before, if you tell your parents, they really won't like that. Like, that won't be good. So, yeah, I agree. You need to get someone. Yeah, the thing is just getting them to understand how you feel about it, you know? You're not just telling them what to do for the sake of it. It's just expressing how you feel about it. That, yeah, hopefully will bring them to realization. But, yeah, that's about it. It's a really difficult situation, so...
Yeah, hopefully it's the same as a friend who just wants the best for you. And hopefully, yeah, they can come to see your perspective of it just over time, maybe. Maybe it won't happen overnight or through one conversation, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So good. So good. Bo, Izzy, thank you for joining us on that. Can we give these two a huge round of applause?
I don't know what to do with
It was amazing. Awesome. Awesome. So we hope through that... you guys are amazing. Amazing. We hope through that time and space that you get able to learn what it means to be becoming more like Christ through our words. Knowing that we can always turn to Christ, we can surround ourselves with good people, and we can always ask questions. We can always ask, oh God, how can I be more like you? Who can you bring into my life to help me out?